Are you guys tired of the same old boring ramen packets? If so, I'm going to show you guys how to spice up your ramen. I'm going to show you guys how to turn this into this. Okay, so first you want to get everything ready. You want to have a few ingredients to add to your ramen. So first, obviously, you're going to need your top ramen packets. Honestly, it doesn't really matter what brand you use. You can use cup of noodles. You can use anything. You're also going to want to have some salt on hand. You don't have to use salt, but I recommend pretty much just to, salt to taste. Alrighty, so I'm also going to be using some sriracha, and I've never really used it before, but I've heard people rave about it, so I'm like, you know what, go figure, I should try it out. I'm also going to be using some eggs. I'm going to be doing 2 different styles of eggs, fried and hard boiled. I'm also going to be using some seaweed, sushi nori, doesn't really matter, and some uncured turkey bacon. You don't have to have meat, but I recommend it. There's 2 pieces in there, that's all you need. Also some butter. This is Finlandia. This is more on the expensive side, but it's whatever is good for you. I like this butter, so I'm gonna use it. Honestly, you can even forgo it or substitute margarine if you want. You also want to have some spices of your choice. Keep in mind that I'm not gonna use everything here. Okay, so let's get cooking. So first you want to get a pot and you want to fill that with water, put that on the stove around medium high, and then you're going to wait for it to boil. That's going to be for your ramen. Next you want to get a pan, and this is going to be for the bacon. I'm going to lay those 2 pieces of bacon down in that pan, and then I'm going to have them sit, let them get all cooked through, and I'm gonna grab another pot for my eggs. I'm gonna put 2 eggs in there. I'm gonna have them get to a boil and let them get hardened so I can put them into my ramen later on. Alright, so I'm just checking on the bacon here, flipping it. I'm seeing that it's starting to cook really well, and just gonna try to get those even lines all throughout, because some of the pieces are kind of like not fully cooking, and that's bound to happen, especially with turkey bacon, so I'm just giving it a hand. All right, I'm coming back to the pot, trying to gauge how much time I have left. And after about a minute more, I decided they're ready for the packet of noodles, so I put 2 in because I'm serving 2 people, and there I am getting all the little tidbits that are left in the packaging because I don't want to waste anything. And plus, it can be fun, trying to pick them up with your fork when you're eating your ramen. And don't worry about the little bits that fall, because you can always clean them up later. And in preparation for the ramen, I've grabbed 2 bowls and set them aside, and also don't forget to check on those eggs. Looks like mine have started boiling, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. And you want to come back to your pot, make sure your noodles are cooking well. They should take about 3 to 5 minutes, and they look ready to me, so I'm gonna go ahead and put them in the 2 bowls that I set aside earlier. And be careful when doing this because it'll be very hot. You'll feel the steam coming from the hot water and the noodles, so just make sure that you don't spill it over yourself because it will hurt and it's not fun, trust me. So here are the 2 bowls with the noodles in them, and you're going to want to strain that leftover pasta water because you're going to make your own broth. Here I'm coming back to the eggs. They're pretty much done, so I'm going to switch out that hot water for cold water so that they stop cooking, and I'm going to set them aside and let them cool. And how long you let them cook is depending on how you like your eggs. And if you haven't already, we want to have that bacon finish and you want to plate it. I'm going to kind of put it in a cute little heart shape. And it really doesn't matter how you plate the bacon. It's all up to how you want it. And in that pot that you use to boil your ramen, you want to go and take it and put it back on the stove. And we're going to use this pot to start up our broth. I'm taking that same butter that you saw earlier and using this as, the base for that broth, so that your ramen can be super delicious, and who knows, you might just end up coming back for seconds. And you want to make sure that you don't let that butter burn. It's definitely okay if you let it brown some, but you don't want to let it burn because you're also going to be adding more ingredients on top of that. So I decided to add some garlic because I'm like, I want this to taste good. Like typically I would use garlic powder, but I'm like, I'm gonna try something different. Let me add some ground garlic, well, it's actually minced, but it doesn't really matter. Same old, same old. So you wanna let that cook on about medium heat. Garlic can burn very, very quickly. So if you decide to put garlic in your ramen, make sure you keep an eye on that because burnt garlic doesn't taste good at all. So here's the garlic. I've let it brown a bit and I've decided to add some soy sauce to it. Sometimes I do add soy sauce, sometimes I don't, but I want this to have a lot of depth, and it's okay to switch things around. If you decide to do this more than once, you can always change how you create your broth and how you assemble the ramen. It doesn't have to be the same each and every time, just as long as it tastes good to you. So I'm gonna let that, simmer for a little bit, let it, absorb all the flavors. And I decided against adding sriracha to it because I'm sharing this with my mom and she doesn't really like spicy things, especially I decided not to add it because I'm going to be adding a little bit of chili powder later on, and I can add sriracha as a topping. So to the pot, I'm also going to be adding some water, and this is really going to extend that broth, so that it tastes good with the other spices mixed in. Here I'm going to add some spices. I added mustard powder, some onion powder, and the spices that you add in really don't matter as long as you like them. I'm giving this a good mix, and then I'm gonna get started on that fried egg that's gonna go in my mom's room. Okay, so while that's simmering, I cracked an egg into the pan that I used for the bacon, and I seasoned it with some salt and pepper. And then I also decided that the broth was missing something, so I was like, you know what, add some ginger. About 10 seconds after that, I added the broth over top of the noodles, and there we go, there's our delicious broth. There I am plating everything up. There goes the seaweed, and then later on I add the egg. Everything doesn't have to look pretty and put together. It's okay as long as it makes it to the bowl. There goes my parsley topping. And look, almost done. It's not restaurant quality, but it still will taste pretty good. And it doesn't have to be. And remember that sriracha from earlier? I went and topped my ramen off with it, and you're ready to eat. I hope I've showed you how to spice up your ramen and that you'll incorporate some of my ideas. Thank you all for watching. Bye bye.